Good afternoon, my name is Joshua Herbison, and today I will be giving my summaries of chapters 15 through 19 on the Art of Public Speaking by Stephen Lucas, the 12th edition. And I will start with chapter 15, which covered the speaking to inform. Now from this chapter, what seemed to be the most important subject matter to me was, first of all, never underestimate or overestimate your audience's knowledge in the subject you're speaking about. You could alienate that audience, and if you do, your message may not be communicated in the manner in which you wished it to be communicated. Also, you should always try to relate your subject to the audience so that they feel they have a connection to what you're speaking of. This will not only add interest to your speech, but really make it stick in their minds in times to come. And never be too technical. You don't want to overwhelm the audience, and you don't want to speak above their level of understanding. If you do, you can, again, lose the message, and it may not be received in the way that it was intended to or received at all. Chapter 16 covered speaking to persuade an audience, and the two things I took away from this was, first, you need to have a target audience. Now, that's not ideal. You would really want to speak to everyone in the audience, but that's not a reality for us. So when you're speaking to an audience, make sure you're targeting specific people, or a specific group of people, rather, that you really truly want to get this message across to. And questions, the types of different questions you can pose a persuasive question in. You can do it via fact, which has an absolute yes or no, true or false, verifiable answer to it. Value, which is based on subjective ideals such as morals. And policy, how you should administrate or actually conduct a certain particular topic or subject that you're speaking about. It seems important to understand the difference between these three because it will greatly affect how you present a speech, and it also is relevant to what you're trying to communicate. And you want to make sure what you're communicating is well communicated via one of these three mediums when you're trying to persuade an audience. Now, chapter 17 covered methods of persuasion. And the first thing I want to talk about, probably the most important, is credibility. When you're speaking to an audience, you always want to build a sense of credibility. And there's three primary ways you can do that. First of all, you can demonstrate your competence. People are always more comfortable and more trusting of someone who demonstrates a requisite knowledge in a particular subject that they're trying to speak on. You can also find common ground in the audience so that they feel you understand their needs or their thoughts on this particular subject, and they can identify with you and you can identify with them. And finally, you need to speak with conviction. You want them to believe you truly, truly are passionate about what you are trying to persuade them to join or to be active in. And secondly, and just as importantly, is evidence. Evidence is always important to support your position and to give more credibility and credence to what you're trying to say. Now, chapter 18 discussed speaking on special occasion. And really two things I want to talk about there is, first of all, be brief. Usually special occasions, nobody's going to hear a long, drawn-out dissertation on whatever you're speaking about. They want you to get through your speech and do what you need to do so that they can move on and enjoy the moment. And know your audience and speak to them about this particular occasion. Make it special. And always be accurate, because it will be memorable, and you don't want them to remember you as somebody who messed up some key fact or some simple fact that you shouldn't have missed. And finally, chapter 19 was speaking to small groups, and the primary thing I took away from there was know how you're going to tackle something. And first of all, you get in there, you identify what the problem is that the small group is supposed to be working on. You analyze that problem, you establish the criteria for the solution, you generate as many solutions as you possibly can, and then identify which solution seems to be the best and most effective solution. And I think this is what's really lost in a lot of small group work, and I've experienced it myself in school. You get in there and the group starts working on a problem that's, first of all, not well defined, and second of all, never given true time or a reasonable amount of time to analyze. So when you finally do get to establishing criteria for solution, nobody can agree on what those criteria should be, and when they generate solutions, they may not even address the initial problem since it was so vaguely or so poorly defined. This is a very important structure to be cognizant of. And that is my coverage of chapters 15 through 19 on the Art of Public Speaking, and it was great having this class with all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your school career.